comfortable, you can speak.
Okay. So once again, I welcome you all for this Japa talk. It's a very, very auspicious day today, Ekadashi day, and what best opportunity to start the day with glorifying in the Lord's name. I'll just offer my prayers and then we will start the day. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Am I audible? No?
Ji Prabhuji.
Perfectly, bro.
Okay. So last week I was actually speaking about faith. I gave an example also of Maharaj Ambarisha, like how he had great faith on Lord's Lord, and then he was just waiting for the problem to get resolved. So now, how do we? I just wanted to again further emphasis on that fact, because we are all on this process of actually increasing our faith in Krishna consciousness. And how do we increase our faith on Krishna consciousness? What is that we have to do? So just I was referring to Bhagavad Gita and some of the process that Lord is giving, and Prabhupada is also recommending. And when you read the Nectar of Instructions, it is clearly said, like, we are on the phase of Shraddha, wherein we are trying to increasing our faith. And one of the important aspects in increasing our faith is actually to control our senses. And when we speak about senses, one of the important senses that is playing a great role in increasing our faith is our mind. So with respect to this portion, I just wanted to speak about that portion, how actually our mind can help us in increasing our faith. Like everybody says we should increase our faith, but how do we increase? What is that is increasing our faith? So if you see, the faith is actually being controlled by our mind, the thoughts of the mind. So mind, when the thoughts of the minds are filled with the pastimes of the Lord, or with the matters that can increase our faith. So one of the pastimes I will just share you. The recent past I was hearing, maybe that will help you also to understand how mind is actually playing a role. So generally, when we speak about faith, like we get to increase our faith when we hear more and more about those things. So just that one pastime I heard that faith is not only for with respect to human being, but also even animals which are less conscious than us are also having faith. So one pastime I heard was in the Guruvayur temple, where one elephant named as Keshava. So this Keshava elephant actually was serving the Lord. In this temple, like it is famous to that the Lord, the Utsava Murti of the Lord, goes in procession outside the temple. The Lord is actually taken and kept on top of the elephant, and the procession takes place. So this Keshava elephant, which is this is a very, very recent pastime. You can see in Google, you can see in your in any newspapers also. So this Keshav elephant was very much attached to the Lord, and whenever the procession happens, it used to ensure that Lord has to be carried by himself itself. It was not allowing any other elephant to carry the Lord. So much intimate relationship it had with the Lord. So every time the procession used to take place, like if the Lord was taken by another elephant, immediately it used to actually make a lot of trouble. So somehow when they understood that this elephant actually wants to carry the Lord, so they made ensure that was happening. So not only that, another important aspect was that this elephant Like we know that elephant means like it always keeps eating. Whenever you go and see elephant, it eats up to 1/10 of food. But this elephant on every Ekadeshi, it used to fast, it seems. So it doesn't consume anything during the Ekadeshis particularly. It is very, very surprising. How can an elephant know a Ekadeshi day, and how can it actually, without eating any food, can it maintain a body? So surprising it is. So this elephant was not eating on the Ekadeshi day. So not only that, very recently this elephant actually passed away, and just before passing away, this elephant actually made the circumambulation of the temple for about made the circumambulation for 3 times. It circumambulated around the temple and then came in front of the Lord, and then it took its two big tusks and just entered it into the mud, just like offering an obeisances. It offered it the obeisances, and then immediately after the obeisance, after offering the obeisances, it just actually fell down on the right side, leaving her body from the this material world. So that's why if you go and see the temple, in the entrance, you can see the tusks of this elephant, which is kept on this temple. So this, let's see how for us being a human being, having faith on the Lord, sometimes it actually it is so flickering. Sometimes we have more faith, sometimes it decreases. But this elephant, which is less consciousness than us, is actually so much faithful the Lord. So this shows us that how Lord is actually present within ourselves, and then when we have complete faith on the Lord, we can actually go back to the Lord. So Keshava is a great example for this. Being an elephant, he has actually and not only that, he actually left this body on a Mokshada Ekadeshi day. So like how important these things. So when we hear stories like this, when we hear what happens is this actually goes into our minds, and actually it actually feeds as impressions. It actually sits as impressions or thoughts into our mind. So this pastimes, when we hear, just by hearing this pastime, I'm sure you would have actually felt like how can this happen? But this is reality. It's not very, very old story what I'm saying, or something in maybe years ago. This is very, very recent past. You can check in your Googles also, or whatever you want. It has come in the papers also, Keshava. And there is Samadhi also of this elephant there. Not only this, why I was bringing this topic was like to tell how to increase the faith. The mind is one of the very, very important aspect. And Nectar of Instructions also says is that the attitude of the devotee is very important, and for improving the attitude of the devotee, mind plays a very, very crucial role, and the senses plays a very, very crucial role. So first, one should actually, a devotee, before becoming a pure devotee, he should actually, his main role should be actually to control the senses. So only when one becomes Goswami, then one can become a pure devotee. So we are actually trying to control our senses through so many attractions. So let us understand this analogy in a very analytical way. How can we actually control our senses? So Bhagavad Gita helps us on this. I have just taken a small PPT on that just to help you in this. So I'm actually trying to make it into a 4 day 4 weeks, like we will see on small aspect. So one may ask, like, why should we control mind? So I brought this topic of mind because we have to increase our faith. So how do we actually control our mind? So I have divided it into 3 topics. Why one should control the mind, what happens to one who has conquered the mind and one who has failed to do so. Is it really possible to conquer the mind? What is the solution given by the Supreme Personality of the Godhead to actually conquer the mind? So these are the 4 aspects. We will go one by one. So first is the why one should control the mind. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna nicely explains this in Bhagavad Gita 6.5. So the sloka goes like this. Udaredatmanam atmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripur atmana. What is that? Krishna says one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So what is that Krishna is actually saying through this verse? So Krishna here is actually saying mind is the one which is actually playing a very, very important role, because through mind only one can deliver himself. And then he says it is the mind only which can degrade us also. So mind plays a very, very important role. And most of the time, on the different yogas that we do, the Ashtanga yoga or the Dhyana yoga is a very, very important part, wherein we actually deal with, especially in this particular Kali Yuga, what we are actually going through. Like, people are giving more emphasis on Ashtanga yoga. But here in the purport, Prabhupada says even this sloka is actually part of the Dhyana yoga, this thing itself. So Prabhupada in the purport very nicely tells that this Dhyana yoga or Ashtanga yoga actually deals mainly with the mind, body, and soul. So, and then he says that the main purpose of the Dhyana yoga is to control the mind. But today, what is happening? People are using yoga instead of controlling the mind or controlling the mind. They are actually using it to keep the body fit. Actually, this fitness of the body by doing Dhyana yoga is actually a side effect of this Ashtanga yoga. Just like when you take a cough syrup, the side effect of the cough syrup is actually you become little sleepy, right? That is the side effect of the cough syrup. But imagine, why are you taking the cough syrup? So that you get cured from the cough, right? Not to have sleep. But the side effect of the cough syrup is that you get sleepy. So similarly, what has happened today, people are actually concentrating more on the side effect of the Dhyana yoga, rather than knowing that the real purpose of Dhyana yoga is actually to control the mind. And people who are actually promoting this, they are so much attracted to sense objects. So how can then they achieve the real purpose of this Dhyana yoga? So we should know. So Prabhupada very nicely says this. And then Prabhupada says that in this chapter, clearly Lord is actually he's mentioning here Atmana. And Atma is referred to body also, Atma is referred to mind also, Atma is referred to soul also. Based on the circumstances, here Lord is actually telling about the Atma as mind. So here in this portion, we saw Prabhupada is telling that Ashtanga Yoga mainly deals with the mind and the soul. So what is happening? Our soul is actually pure. But when this soul is actually becomes conditioned when the mind and the false ego actually, because of the combination of the mind and false ego. So when our mind is actually culminating with the getting attached with the false ego. False ego means I. That's what it's my property, it's my car, it's my son, my these things. So when this soul comes to this material world, the mind actually gets attached to the false ego, or in combination with false ego, the contamination happens, and then we become attached to the sense objects. And this attachment to the sense objects causes the bondage in the material world. So that is the first part, what Prabhupada says. Now, how do we overcome that? How do we not get attracted to the sense objects? So we should take on the left-hand side part, what I've shown in these things. So we should use the same mind and be unattached to sense objects. So how can one be unattached to sense objects? So the best process Prabhupada recommends is the Krishna consciousness. So when we take up to the process of Krishna consciousness, we should know that the main purpose of the Krishna consciousness is actually to be unattached to sense objects, rather attached to the Lord's pastimes. And so by doing so, our mind actually becomes purified. By the thoughts filled up with the Lord's pastimes, our mind actually becomes purified, and thereby our attraction towards the material sense objects actually decreases. So when we are attracted to material sense objects, what happens? We are degrading our mind. So that's what Lord says in this verse. You can use your mind to degrade also. You can use your mind to deliver also. So we have to choose whether should I take the material side of you, whether I should use my mind for the material sense gratification, or whether I use the same mind to deliver myself. So this is the first lesson that Lord gives us and makes us to and trying to make us understand why mind is so important, and then how we can use this mind properly and get out of this attachment. So Prabhupada finishes this fifth sloka perfect with this. Mana eva manushyanam. So mana eva manushyanam. Karanam Manda Mokshanam. It is actually mind only of for a man, mind is actually the cause of bondage and mind. For a cause of bondage. And mind is the cause of liberation. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshaya. Bandaya vishaya sango muktaye nirvishya mana. So, and mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense object is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from the sense objects is the cause of liberation. So this is what Prabhupada says. He gives this nice verse from Upanishad, one of the Atma Bindu Upanishad. He quotes this verse. So it is mind, mana eva manushanam karanam bandha mokshanaya. So it is mind that is very, very important. And we should actually expose our mind only to relevant objects that can actually deliver us. So otherwise we are actually trying to degrade our mind. So with this aspect, I will stop. I think I just shoot off the time. Sorry for that. Thank you for patiently hearing to me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Babuji. It was very nice. We understood how the mind is the most important aspect when we are dealing with this world and bhakti. So, and how to control it, we understood. We are going to understand step by step.